Hey y'all, my name's Amanda. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to show you two different crochet stitches that look like knitting, and I'm going to show you how to do each of those flat and also in the round. Sorry if you hear the dog jingle jangling in the background, and he must want some company today. First stitch I'm going to show you is the waistcoat stitch or the knit crochet stitch, and this is what this looks like when you work it in the round. The stitches line up in perfect columns. It looks very similar to knitting. When you work it flat, the stitches don't quite line up in perfectly straight columns, but it does look very similar to knitting on both sides when you work it flat. So I'll show you both of those. And then the other stitch I'm going to show you is a half double crochet knit look stitch. I'm not really sure what the name of this one is, but you're working half double crochets and it ends up looking sort of like ribbing in knitting. So when you work this one in the round, you can see if I turn it this way, it looks sort of like knit ribbing or knit cables, not really cables, just in rows of knitting that looks similar to like a 1-1 rib. And then when you work it flat, it's actually, you have these little like gaps between the way the ribs line up, and it almost looks like a 2x2 knit rib a little bit, and it doesn't look exactly like it does in the round. These are very close together, but there are gaps in the knit looking rows. The spaces in between sort of look like pearl, so they end up looking a little different when you work it round versus flat, but I will show you both of those. Okay, so the first one I'm going to show you is the waistcoat stitch, which gives you the columns of V's that look like knitting stitches. So all you do to start when you're working in the round with the waistcoat stitch, you're just going to chain however many you normally would, join it in the round just like you normally would to crochet in the round, and then you're going to start with just a row or a round of regular single crochet. So that's how you set this up. You're just going to chain, single crochet all the way around, and you're going to work this in a spiral. So what that means is when you get around to the beginning of the row, which is this is where I started the rounds, I don't like join to the previous row with a slip stitch. I just continue around, and I continue around and around and around. There's no gaps, no separation between the rows. It's not like one row and then join and one row and then join. It's just a continuous circle of stitches. And that's why it ends up with those columns of stitches lining up perfectly straight. So it's actually pretty easy once you get the hang of it. So you can see in a normal single crochet, you would work right here. You would go under those two loops, and then you would go here, and then you would go here, right? So you just work under those top two loops. To work the waistcoat stitch, instead you have this V here. See this V here that the single crochet makes? You're going to work into the V of that stitch. You're going to work right, let me get a good angle on it. You're going to work right in here, in between the two legs of these V's. So let me show you what that looks like. So instead of working here into the next single crochet, I'm going to work here into that V space. And you kind of have to push a little bit. This is a really dense fabric. I'm going to just do a regular single crochet. Okay, so that gives me the V that lines up on top of the V of the round before. So there's the V stitch shape. I'm just going to work directly into that and just do a regular single crochet. And all I did when I started this was I had just a row of regular single crochet, and then just when I went around the next time, all I did was exactly what I'm doing now, and then just repeating that up. I didn't do anything special with that foundation row. It was just a row of regular single crochet, and I started working into these V's. So I'll show you that again. I'm just going to go into that V, just do a regular single crochet. There's your V. work into the V, and do a regular single crochet. So you can see this is just adding another row of the V's to these columns. So that's how you do this one in the round. Really easy. To work this stitch flat is a little different. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Again, it doesn't look exactly the same. The stitches don't line up perfectly straight. They sort of almost like zigzag back and forth a little bit. But the concept of how you work the stitch is pretty similar. There's just one little difference. So again, all I did to start was just chain and do a row of single crochet. That was my base for this piece that I'm working on. So I've finished the previous row. I've chained one and I've turned. Okay, so that's all I've done. So on the flat piece, the difference is instead of working into this V that's turned this way, the V's that are upright like this, on a flat piece, your V's are going to be upside down. So what I'm actually going to work into is not this. It's not the V's here. I have these upside down V's like this here that have a little crossbar at the top. So it almost looks like a capital letter A. And then I have one here. Let's see if I can get a better image on that for you. And I have one here. And I have one here. So that's what I'm going to work into. I have one here. I'm not working into the up and down V's. I'm working into the upside down V's. It looks sort of like an A. So I'm going to show you that. So all I've done is I finished the previous row. I chained one and I turned. There's my upside down V. I'm just going to work a single crochet into that. There's my upside down V. Work a single crochet. I don't want to work in this. I want to find the next upside down V. Work into that. And all I'm doing in those spaces is just a regular single crochet stitch. You might find that this is a little tight to work into. If that's the case, then you can pull your loop up and then pull up this way a little bit on the fabric and make those loops just a little bit looser. That may help you if it's hard to work into the stitches. So I'm just going to work. There's the upside down V. Work into that. I'm going to finish this row. Okay. And then when your last stitch is going to go right here, right in this space here, right there. Okay. And you'll know you're in the right spot if you have what looks like two loops on the side of your hook when you insert your hook there. It looks like two loops on the side. Just do your last single crochet and then I'm going to chain and turn. So you can see I now have those upside down letter A or letter V, upside down V's. So I'll do another row. This one's a little trickier than going around, so I'll show you again. I don't want to work here. I do not want to work in that space there. That would just be going into the regular single crochet. I have this upside down A shape or upside down V shape. Just go in there, single crochet. I'm going to go in here, single crochet. And then I have my upside down V and single crochet. So this is how you work the waistcoat stitch in flat. So to work back and forth rows. And you can see it doesn't line up perfectly straight the way it does in the round, but it does look very similar to knitting. And the next stitch I'm going to show you, I'm just wobbling this camera all over the place today. The next stitch I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to show you in the round first as well. This one is also a little easier in the round. So this is, I don't really know what the name of this is or if it has a name. I guess it's like a half double crochet knit stitch. It looks similar to knit ribbing. on the outside, on the right side. That's what it looks like on the inside. So to start this, you just chain however many you'd like to have, join for crocheting in the round, and then do a round of half double crochet and join with a slip stitch. So this is going to be worked just like the other one in a spiral. Instead of doing rounds and then joining them with a slip stitch each time, you're just going to work continuously in circles in a spiral. And just to repeat that, you're going to chain however many you want, join to work in the round, half double crochet around, slip stitch, and then start working in a spiral. So once you start your second round, so you'll have just a regular round of half double crochet for your first round. A half double crochet stitch has, I'll take this out so I can point with it. So a half double crochet stitch has this V that you typically are going to see at the top of any crochet stitch. But a half double crochet, if you flip it around like this, has a third loop that runs along the back of that work. So you have the two V's here, and then there's a third loop at the back. Okay, all you're going to do, essentially what we're doing, is you're going to work in this back loop, that third loop, and it's going to push this V shape forward on the right side of your work so that it looks like a row of a column of knit stitches. So I'll show you how to do that. Just to remind you, if you're not super familiar with it, a half double crochet is just yarn over, drop a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all three. So I'm going to go in this third loop, not this one or this one, not the V in the front. I'm going to flip it just a little bit and go in this third loop. So I'm going to yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, and then pull through all three. So I'm going to do the same thing on the next stitch. I have the two loops here, rotate it just a little bit to the back, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through all three. Do that again. You have the two here, kind of roll it, working that third loop, that back loop. Okay, so you're just going to continue around, working into that third back loop in a spiral without joining rounds, just continuing around. So you can see what that looks like when you're working in the round. So when you work it flat, it's a little different. You can see it looks like rows of knitting with kind of a gap in between. So it almost looks like knit to purl to ribbing stitches. So this is a little trickier, but it's pretty easy once you kind of understand what we're doing here. So all I did, chain, work half double crochet. That's all I did to get the base of this. I just chained however many I wanted, and then worked a row of half double crochet all the way across, and then chained one and turned. So what I'm going to show you here is what you would do for your very next row after your initial row of just regular half double crochets. So we're going to do one row when we go this way, then when we flip it over, we'll do a different thing going back. So you're going to repeat basically a 2-row repeat to get this look. The first row, you're going to do the same thing we just did in the round. You're going to work in this third loop, in that back loop. I'm just going to work a half double crochet. Do the same thing, and again, this is pushing that front V of the stitch. It's pushing it toward the right side of the piece so that it looks like a row of knitting. So I'm just going to go all the way across this row, and then I will show you how to do the last stitch. Okay, and when you get to the end here, this stitch is kind of hard to see sometimes, but you will have three loops there. So you can see there are 3 loops on the last stitch of the row, and you want to go into that back loop, that 3rd loop. Just do a half double crochet, chain 1 and turn. So this is what the wrong side or the back side of the piece looks like, and we're going to do something different when we go across on the back side. So if you think of it this way, what we want is for these, on this where we just did these 2 loops, because we have a 3rd loop back there, we want these 2 loops to roll over onto this side of the fabric. So we want these 2 loops here to roll onto this side. So to do that, I've chained 1 and I've turned. Instead of working back here, this back loop, I want to work here into this front loop, into this front loop, because that's going to push those other 2 loops over to the other side of the work. So I've chained 1 and I've turned. I'm going to do a half double crochet in this front loop. And do the same thing here. I have the 3 loops. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to work into this front loop. Front loop. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm not working into the back 3rd loop. This time I'm working into the front loop. Working into this front loop. You've got the 3 loops, 1, 2, 3, and you're going into this front loop. Okay, I'll show you what that looks like. So what it's done, you can see here, this is the top of the stitches from our previous row. And as we've worked this row, it has sort of flipped these top 2 loops down so that they're running along looking like knit stitches. You can see we haven't done these yet, so as we continue, we push these forward. Okay, so there you go. Those are the 2 crochet stitches that look like knitting. And if you have any questions, if anything was confusing, please post a comment below and I'll be happy to help you as much as I can. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, I'd appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up and would consider subbing before you exit my channel. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope to see you next time. Bye.